Hey, Mr. Spock, how are you? It's a lovely afternoon. We are going to start by adding some products today. um, I'll show you first a couple of things we did last night off stream. So, in the options, we have added the ability to add to the building select. Okay, we haven't implemented it yet, but we have added these two buttons for the border color and the image color, which is basically the border here and the image here, right? But I'm not going to implement that because we need to do a bit of changing stuff, because this color settings now needs to go in a scroll box because it's obviously too big for the options screen on its own. Okay, now we could do that a bit later, or try to, because it's not quite that simple, but we're going to add some products first because I feel like it. Now also what I have done is changed the texture. Okay, it's now working off the terrain and it's now basically working from a landscape material. Okay, so you can see it here, and if you zoom out a bit, it looks a bit big. Now the thing is, I am still pondering. I'm having a good day so far. We'll see how much we get done today, and then that'll decide whether we've had a good day or not. But yeah, we're doing fine. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do with this, but this is still pointing to the fact that I might need to change the controller to actually control, like, not a mannequin. It's obviously not going to be the mannequin, but just for the sake of argument, right? If we actually drag in the mannequin, right? So I shall show you this. So if I bring the map in, okay, and then we actually drag in the mannequin, you'll see the relative scale. So the relative scale isn't actually that bad, right? So the relative scale of the mannequin to everything else isn't that bad. Now we're going to have to break up this this texture a bit, but we'll look at that at a later date, right? Because it is kind of crappy. Now the idea here is maybe to use rocks and such as foliage, right? I think what we'll do here, right, is if I duplicate him and sit him next to, like, the gun, that will give us maybe a better idea of what's going on. Right? So yeah, I mean, the gun, actually the gun might be pretty, this might be a pretty reasonable size all in all. He's a bit below now, right? So obviously that would be the height of him, right? So if we go back to our maps, go to main menu, save that. And continue. Right there. So those are pretty beefy drones, but yeah, that's okay. And this is our gun. And that's a pretty beefy gun. You know what would be actually pretty cool? If I could put like a seat on here and it's manned so that you've got a guy sitting on this firing it, but that's for another day. But yeah, so that's looking good. And we can now basically play with the terrain, right? What's really effective? Okay, you've lost me on that one, Mr. Spock. Right. So, what we need to do is add our products. And the funny thing is, well, it's in recipes, isn't it? So we have E items. Oh, the gun animation. Yeah, I just made that up on the hoof. Just basically went, that would be quite cool if it came out of the ground like that. I mean, the model isn't actually perfect for it, but it's just a kind of stand-in anyway, so we're not going to worry too much about it. Right, so we're going to have copper pipes and we're going to have steel pipes. Okay. Save that. So that's the first part. We're going to close this third person controller thing down. So the next thing we need is DT items. And we're going to add and add. So we're going to have copper pipes with no space. And copper pipes. We may change this around the category thing. So this would be made in a metalworks. Okay. We don't really have an image at the moment. We can do something with that though. So what we'll do is let's find something coppery. Right, okay, copper sheet, copper wire. We'll just make it copper wire for now. And we have got copper pipes. Is it craftable by hand? No. Is it tradable? Yes. Value 3. Research level 0. That's what we're going to do today, by the way. We're going to set these up to start thinking about using the different levels. So we're going to do the next one, which is steel pipes. And in fact, what we'll do is we'll change these for the moment to be made. Well, this is not actually where you set them up to be made, but so this one is going to be steel pipes and metal works, and we need an image. So we need some sort of metal image. And if you guys are interested, in what I could do is I could move this. I could show you how I basically do the textures and the images, how I get the images out. In fact, probably will do that, but we'll go with that just now because that's the basic one I use. So that's steel pipes is the mesh. Craft by hand, false. Is tradable, true. We'll make it value 3. We don't need to set these other ones because you can't make them by hand. Right, I'm not even sure if I'm going to have vehicles or not, Mr. Spock, so I get your point, but it might not even be relevant. So now, the final part of the puzzle is to basically get these added. Okay, so we add row name copper pipes, and the product out is copper pipes, and we need a kind of a copper pipey type image, which we don't really have at the moment. But so we'll say a process time of, let's say, 5 for the moment, and the input, let's say copper sheet, and let's say 4 for a giggle. And where you can make it, we shall just say the smelter for now, right? So that we can actually do it. It's not going to cause us any problems, basically. We are going to change that around once we're finished once we've got everything in place. So this is going to be steel pipes, and the output is going to be steel pipes, and the image, we don't really have steel. Well, we've got a steel texture, that'll do. That's kinda good. We'll say 5. We'll say input is going to be, well, it's going to be steel, isn't it? And again, we'll say 4. And where it's made, you can only make, well, actually, you know what we could do? We could say, right, just to check this code, we could say smelter and or the metalworks. Okay, and we could do the same for the copper pipes. and then we can basically test it to find out if it allows us to make these. Right, so that'll be Metalworks as well. We can save that, and we need an output is our copper pipes, and we're going to produce one, and then we can do the same for the steel pipes. We can see output is steel pipes, and we produce one. Okay, cool. So that should be us, in fact. So we can save that, and now we can press play. And it's having a little fit to itself, which is fine. So now what we can do is we can click on the smelter, we can build a smelter, and we can find out if it's in our crafting list. For these two products should now be in the crafting list. Okay. And steel pipes, copper pipes. Cool. We're obviously going to have to do something with this. Right, so with that in mind, what we'll do is we can go to our items. Now we are going to have to try and make these, right, at some point. If we go to our DT items, we should be able to go there. And this is our steel pipes. Right, that's better. So we can actually do that, right? And we want this. Okay, so we do need to use that. But we're going to pull it right down, because that's awfully bright. Now, that's better. Now, what we can do here is we can basically screenshot it, right? And then paint.net. Then paste it. Then we can copy that file new, okay that, paste it, then we can go to the image, and I can't remember its canvas size, or so this is 6.2 foot light, so let's make it 400. Okay, it's the other one. I believe, or is that the one I just did? I think that's the one I just did. Image, resize. We're not going to do that. We're going to go 400 by 400. Okay, that looks good. And then what we can do is we can use our magic wizard thing. Okay, so I'm not really 100% happy with that, to be honest. But we can delete that. Then we can delete that and delete that. Then we can delete that. Then we can delete that. And that kind of gives us our what we're looking for. Then we can use this, and we can say the brush size is 10. Then we can basically zoom in on this a bit. I think we'll leave it at that. That'll do. Then we just save as. Then into here. And say steel pipes. Save. Save. Okay, so we can close that down, and then if we do this, we can go to our UI, then we can look at our images and go to products, then we go to our imports. And I'm grabbing this from the other screen, by the way. And we can drag that in there. And we can basically say that this is a user interface. Okay. Then we can save that. We can close this one, and then we can basically do the exact same thing with the copper pipes. Okay, but this time what we'll do is we shall actually take it from the other side so that it looks kind of different. That's still very, very still very, very bright, isn't it? I suppose yeah, so that'll do. So again, what we do, print screen, back into paint, back into here, paste that, grab this, that's not very good. That's not very square. That's kind of more like it. Copy that. Do a new. Yeah, that's nearly about right. Then we resize it to 400 by 400. Then we bring out our magic wand again. That looks to be perfect. Okay, not quite. Okay, what we'll do is we'll delete that there. Right, then we'll zoom in a bit. And we shall kind of manually do these bits. Right, I mean, I don't even know why I'm doing this, but because this is just really for testing purposes, shall we say. That'll do. So what we'll do is save as. This is going to be copper pipes. Save that. Okay, that. Then we can close this down. Don't save that. Minimize that. Go back into our images and products, and we can now drag in our copper pipes. And there we go. Open up, change it to UI, interface, save, and there we go. Then if we go into DT items, we can now select the correct thing, which is that one. And then for this one, we can select steel pipes. Okay, save that, go to our recipe, and now in here we can go to copper pipes. Then in steel we can go to steel pipes and save that. And now when we do this again. We will simply be able to see these better. And while that's getting ready, we're going to check the scores. Arsenal are leading 1-0 at half time against Villa. Bournemouth, Wolves 0-0. Man City 3-0. It's probably Haaland had scored 2 already, so he probably got his hat-trick. Yeah, he did. First half hat-trick for Haaland. And Tottenham are 1 up. It's an OG by somebody. And that's that. That is your Premiership update. So now we've got copper pipes and steel pipes. And there we go. That's looking pretty decent for me, I'd say. So you'll notice that we're still using my garish colours from last night. Which is pretty cool. I need to basically excuse me. I'll need to delete all the save files and get it back to default. But we can do that at a later date. Or no, we could do it now, because basically we've added our 2 products. Right? The only thing we need to check now is how these products actually come in to get their size, so that I can either rotate it or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to say it needs bauxite. No. We're going to say it needs iron ore. And then for the steel pipes, we're going to say the same thing. Iron ore. And that'll allow us to build these fast. Okay. So what we'll do is we'll stop it for now. We'll press play, new game. Right. We'll do our proby thing. And then we shall have a refiner here. And then we shall have a smelter here. Then we shall spin that around, and then we'll spin this around once it's active. Then we'll set this to make copper pipes, I suppose. And this is making iron ore, so that's alright. Okay. So the next thing we'll do is we'll save that. And then we shall start getting our conveyors going. Okay. So that's the first one. We're going to need an out so that we can see the product coming out. So that's what we'll do. And the next thing we're going to do is join up our miner. And we're off and running. and this is liable to be huge, either huge or tiny. Yeah, they're a bit big, aren't they? And we need to set the materials to be, we need to get the materials for the pipes and the, so here's the copper pipes, right? And this material is going to have to be set to instance mesh, right? And so we've got copper pipes, so we now need to do steel pipes. So if we go to here and we go to material steel pipes, I thought I'd done this, but obviously I didn't. Not to worry. Right, now we've got two things left to do here. And that is, when we bring in our steel pipes, we need the details, and we need to find out what the import settings are. And you know what we'll do, right? If I set that to 1, right, so I'm going to set that back to 1, okay? And I'll show you how I'll work out what we need to change this to. So if we go back to our maps, we save the selected. Alright? And we can see right, this is a better idea. So we can see the sort of size there of what that is, right? So what we can do is we can come to copper pipes, doesn't really matter which one we do. Right, we can drag it into the scene. And if we lock this, do a locky thing, and then make it 0.2, and that's probably still a bit big, so we can make it 0.1, and that'll probably do us fine, right? So we can delete that again. We can go back to our main menu, let it do its CV thing. So the first one is, I think we've got the steel pipes open, so we know that the uniform scale is going to be 0.1, okay, and then we re-import that, and there we go. We save that. Then we can go to the copper pipes and do the exact same thing, because these are at the same scale, so we just need to do the same thing basically. So we just say 0.1, re-import, save that, press play, continue. We have our miner and we have our things, so all we need to do is join these up again with conveyor belts, which shouldn't take us long at all. We just need to make sure, yep, it's on copper pipes. Close that and join up the conveyors. Now guys, I was considering being really ridiculous, right, and giving the player the choice of whether to use like these, the sort of conveyor belt thing, or the overhead conveyors. I was considering giving the player the choice of what they wanted that to look like. What do you guys think? So this is getting built. This is going nice. And here comes a copper pipe. And that's looking pretty cool, if I do say so myself. Right, so similarly what we could do is change it to steel pipes. And you can see that is actually a steel pipe, right? But yeah, but because we're getting that color, you can obviously see that's copper, right? But the steel, I think, is just a bit too shiny. And you'll notice that you can actually see the difference there. But there we go. We've got it so that we can make copper pipes and steel pipes. And our list of products is going up. Now, if there's anybody in the chat has got an idea for new product, then please, by all means, put it in. I want ideas on this one, right? Basically my idea is that this is facing the wrong way. This is the way we built it. So if we go over here, so my idea was that I was going to build it from basically like weapon back the way, right? What would you need to make a weapon, right? So you would need ammunition or energy, depending on the type of weapon. You would need the metal. You would need like electronics. You would need like the glass if it's like a laser. So I'm thinking that it might be easier to reverse engineer like a normal munitions gun, right? And then work out, like, one product might be bullets, okay? And another might be, well, there's various different bullets we could have as well. We could have armor piercing bullets, we could have normal bullets, etc., right? But fundamentally, you've seen it's quite easy for me to add products and then put them into the supply chain. Okay, so on that bombshell, we shall go and have a cigarette, and I shall be back in a couple of minutes. Don't go anywhere, folks. I'll be right back. Okay, we are back, And since we have actually got that done pretty quickly, I think what we'll do is we shall try and get our scroll bar in our colors menu. Okay, so I've had a couple of goes at this and it didn't quite go so well, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, I'm going to duplicate it, and we're going to call it options test. Okay, and we'll basically muck about with this one to see if we can get this working. Okay, so this is our widget switcher, and this is the thing that we need for it to work. Okay, now we need we need all of this stuff in a scroll box after this spacer. Okay, so in theory, I'm just telling you in theory, by the way, because it doesn't often work like this. We need a panel, and it's a scroll box, and we need it right here. Okay, and this scroll box should fill. Okay, we'll leave it on auto then. Right, so what we actually need to do here is drop all of our stuff into here. Into the scroll box. Okay. So this horizontal box, then this horizontal box, then this horizontal box should go into there. But I'm wondering, is that going to work? Right? Now this shouldn't size to content. Right? And in fact, this vertical box possibly shouldn't even be here. We might need to actually move that out of there. So maybe the actual See, that's not going to really work either. It would be part of the vertical box, but we don't want it to. Let's have a look at the anchors here, right? And as I said, if we set it to size to content, then it ain't going to work right. And that certainly ain't going to work right. Because this is too big as well. Right, but what we'll do in the meantime, right, is we shall go to our controller and in fact it's our button. Right, and it's in our options, which is here. We'll change this to options test. Okay. And if we go to game colors, you'll notice that it doesn't actually have a scroll bar. Okay. So that's kinda no good. So if we go to our scroll box, I was sure there was a hi Jean Familia, or is it Jean? I don't know. Scroll bar visibility, right? It should be visible. I'm doing Unreal Engine development. Always show scroll bar. Right. So we want to show the scroll bar at all times, right? Because obviously our content is greater than scroll bar at this point. So we have our scroll bar, but our actual box is going too big. So this vertical box right, wait a minute. We don't size to content. We'll stop this and save it. I might need to build a test widget here to make this work and then transfer it over, or at least transfer over the that's the planet, yeah. Right, so we need a widget, okay? We need a test widget where we can actually test the scrolling within that widget. So we'll create a new widget, and we'll create test scroller. Okay, and what we'll do is, this is the vertical box, right, that's in the widget switcher. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to copy that, then we're going to put it into our test scroller. Right, so we'll paste it. Bye, Jean or John or whatever. Thanks for popping by. You're always welcome. Right, so this widget here, we need it to scroll, okay? So, in effect, we would need it to be something like that, right? But then our vertical box would have to be to a very specific size. See, I don't know why it's doing that. So it shouldn't size to content, right? But it should, like, let's say come to here. Now, if it does come to here, we need it to do the scroll bar thing, or the scroll box thing, right? So what we'll do is we shall go back to our button, right, and test scroller, right, and we shall remove that. Okay. So you'll notice that this is okay, but it's too big. It's showing all the stuff when it shouldn't. So should that be wrapped in a canvas panel? And if it is, right, so this is our spacer, which is nonsense. And from there, we've got that. Okay, so that's not awfully good for us. Okay. And we're getting color settings now, but nothing in here. Okay. So now our scroll box is kind of weird. Right? And this is going on the canvas panel. And this whole canvas panel, this vertical box, this has got a size. So I'm not 100% sure on this one, but if we wrap this with a canvas panel, right, and this canvas panel is like there, save that, right? So we now have our scrolling thing, which is good. It's a start. So this vertical box should be like that, right? So now that's given us our thing, right? This is what we're looking for. So that's cool. So we want something like this set up here. So what we need to do is basically do this so that they're separate. Then bring that down a bit. Bring this across a bit. Spread that out a bit. And then we can see how this is set up. Okay? And basically what we did here was we wrapped this vertical box in a canvas panel. So it was this vertical box here. And it was wrapped in a canvas panel. The canvas panel should have 0 padding. This should basically now go like that. Right? Except this should be also wrapped with a canvas panel, and this canvas panel should basically stay as it is, and this one should fill out. Okay. Then this vertical box should be full. So let's have a look at this. We've got a vertical box, and it's not sized to content. We've got this one, then this vertical box, we could in effect basically copy this into here. Right, what we'll do is we'll set this to hidden. Hi Kofi mate, how are you? Right, and then what we could do is we could drop this into here. And basically this is where we break everything, which is kinda awesome. And this was options test. And that's not what we want to do. We want options test. It's WMM options test. Right? And then we can plug that in there. Okay. Interesting. So that's given us nothing, which is kinda awesome. Except it's not. Right, so let's have a think about this. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this visible again. And we'll take it through there. I think I'm going to have to delete this test scroller thing. We'll run it again and make sure we're kind of back to where we were. Yeah, we are. Okay. So, let's do a couple of things here. Let's delete this. And let's delete that. And let's delete that. And let's keep it as absolutely simple as we can. Okay? So we have got another vertical box, right? So what we'll do is we'll put this into this vertical box, right? And that allows us to delete this canvas panel. Okay? So we can gradually work out what we need to do here. Okay? Now, I'm kind of under the impression here that all of these should be in the same canvas panel, right? Or at least a copy of the canvas panel. And that canvas panel should be like this size here, right? So that basically any of the settings have to be in a similar size of canvas panel. Okay? So as you can see here, we've got this border, right? And even this border isn't quite, well, actually it is right, but I'm guessing here that we've got this canvas panel, then we've got this border, which is basically our options and stuff, and then we've got this canvas panel, which is the same size as the border, and then we've got this vertical box, which is actually the size we want. Right? Then we've got this horizontal box here. We've got another border, which kind of doesn't make any sense. Now, this horizontal box here, that's fine. This border kinda isn't fine. Or actually, yeah, it is. But it doesn't need to be there. This border does not need to be there. Right? So what we'll do is we'll remove that border. Okay. we'll put that border back. We'll put that border back because that's a bit weird. And we're really now interested in this vertical box, which is right. Okay, and in our widget switcher, and that should be kind of right. Okay. It's going to be really pretty small, but in theory that is kind of right. Everything should be inside the widget switcher. Okay. So I'm basically thinking here, are all of these things here totally irrelevant? Well, there's vertical box, right? And that's because we need to put in like the spacer and stuff with the color settings thing. That's why that's there. Now, this one here, let's take this canvas panel out. Right, but there, at some point, one of these see, that's got see, if I size it to content, it goes outside the limit, right? So it makes sense that this scroll box would be in here. Then we can delete that. Right, but my problem here is the scroll box is mapping to this thing here. Right, now you can see that it's not right. Now the other ones are the same. Right? The other ones are exactly the same. Now, it would appear to me that that is correct. That is correct. That looks right. These are all right. And this canvas panel's right. But that canvas panel is not right. And that's actually using yeah, that's using different thing. So maybe if we copy this and paste the stuff into that, we might actually be able to do it. Let's have a look to see how the CP bindings actually looks at this point, right? It doesn't have a scroll, apparently. Is there any of them that have a scroll? Apparently not. Now, as I said, we have the scroll on this, but it's not set to this size. It's not set to the correct size, which is a bit of a pain in the neck. Okay. Now you'll see that each of these vertical boxes, right? And the widget switcher itself is kinda right, but it's kinda no right as well. That vertical box is okay, and that canvas panel's okay. Except, even then, it's not quite right. So from the top, that's 25. Right, so that's all the space that you'll be using, right? And now it looks to me like this is kinda all wrong. I might rebuild this from the start. Excuse me. Right, tell you what. 2-minute break, guys. I'll be back in a second. Okay, sorry for that little interruption there, but let's get back on with it. I've had another idea of how to go about doing this. What we could do is we could move this above here, right? Then we could delete this. Okay. Then we can basically delete that. And then in here, we could put test scroller. Okay. And let's see. See, this test scroller isn't going into the box. But that's maybe because test scroller shouldn't actually be in there at all. It should be set up slightly different. Right. And for these, we'll just delete that for now. I don't know if this is going to play or not. Obviously not. Right, so basically delete that and that and that and that and that, and it's still not liking any of that stuff, so we'll delete that. And it doesn't like any of that either. Right, so basically we'll delete that. I just want to see how this ends up looking, you know. Unfortunately, it's not going to let me until I get rid of all that crap. Now it is there, and it is a scroll box, it's just in the wrong place. Right? So if I copy that, then delete this, then paste it again, save it, run this, it's nearly there, nearly there. In fact, I would actually say it is there. The difference is that we need these buttons back in the right place. Okay. In fact, this is exactly in the right place. Okay. It's just that the back yeah, whatever. Now the interesting thing is, the point here if we were to copy this, right, now this is the vertical box, okay, if we were to delete this, right, and then paste this in, save it, and press play, we actually do get our box. Okay. Now the interesting thing is our back and save aren't in the right place, but we'll dismiss these. There's our vertical box, right? And this is the horizontal box. Now, the very, very interesting thing here is this isn't getting moved to the bottom for our thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate this, then this is this one, right? We're going to delete this, so that should give us this again. Then if we delete everything out of there, Okay. And then now we go into our test scroller and we basically copy that and then we paste this in here. Save that. And we do get our stuff there, but this isn't getting placed in the right place for some reason. Right, and that's right. We've got our color settings, and then this we've got our canvas panel and our scroll box. Right, and that's our three things, but this isn't going to the bottom. Which kind of suggests that this is at the wrong level. Right, I'm really confused by this. Because you can see that it works on there, it works on there, it works on there, and it works on there, but it doesn't work on here. Doesn't work here, and my only interpretation of why it doesn't work here is because of the scroll box. Right, now we could take this scroll box and take it out of that canvas panel, right? And then it's screwed. Right? But I am confused as to why this doesn't work for this, right? Because there's no reason why it's any different from any of those other things, right? The only other or at least, let's say, right, I'm going to move this to here, I'm going to move this to here, then I'm going to move this to here, Right, now I can't, because I wanted to delete this panel. Okay, to see if that actually made any difference. Right, okay, you can error away all you like. So what we'll do now is, if we hit this and hit this, we've got our scroll box okay, right, but we haven't got this save thing in the right place. Now, what is stopping this? And the only thing I can think of, right, is if we don't if we take everything out of the scroll box, right, and remove the scroll box, I'm wondering if it seems to be the only thing I'm worried about now is if you see this is now over here, but it's still in the wrong place. Okay, so it isn't that scroll box that's doing it. It can't be the scroll box, but there's something that is making it not function like it should. That's us back to the way we were, right? This is our vertical box that doesn't seem to want to as you can see, that's working okay, but it's kind of not working okay. I'm just wondering if it's like we need to wrap this in a size box or something. What's a retainer box? A wrap box. What the heck's a wrap box? Right, let's see what some of these things are, shall we? Alright, so we don't need that. Okay, whatever. I'm kinda screwed on this one. this one is pretty weird as well, because the widget switcher doesn't seem, it seems to have a size there, right? And that's because this vertical box is that size, right? But if I do that, that has no size. Right, now this would suggest that if we look in here, right, this is a canvas panel, and that's auto. This one's exactly the same. Then it's a vertical box. Right, so if we check the vertical box here, that one was what, 30 or something? So that says 30. Now, it looks like that is this. So we'll do the same thing. But that looks completely different now from what that does. Now, the interesting thing here is that has no, that's got headers. That's a header. Right? Then it's got a spacer, then it's got a horizontal grid, horizontal box, and then it's got the vertical box. Right, and then it's got the bindings. But the bindings are in this horizontal box. Right, so an interesting problem. I knew this was going to be a tricky one. So it's got vertical box, canvas panel, vertical box. This has got vertical box, canvas panel, vertical box. And that's got the 25 bind, and it's got auto. And this has got anchors at the top, which is exactly what I did a minute ago. But the crazy thing is that this says 30. And that says 30, but it's sized to content. Right, but I can't size this to content or the scroll box doesn't work. Let's try it again with that minor change. Again, these buttons are not in the right place. Our scroll box is still good. Right, but is this got some weird setting on it? I don't get this at all. This is confusing the hell out of me. Right, let's stop that just now. And what we'll do is we'll get this back to the actual options. And we'll just check again where exactly we are. Right, so we're here. These aren't in the right place. And our scroll box isn't there. And with that, guys, I'm going to struggle on with this off stream, or I may take a break from it, because working on something that's confusing the life out of you just sort of drains your enthusiasm to carry on with life. But if you've enjoyed the stream, hit the subscribe button, check out the description for the Discord and Patreon and my previous game. And if you enjoyed it, drop back in again sometime. We'll be streaming at 8 o'clock tonight, Central Time, so I shall see you all then. Thanks for popping by. Bye.